Dear chess lovers, welcome back to my channel. Today the game 6 of a World Chess Championship happening in Dubai. After continuous 5 draws, today Carlsen achieved his first win. He achieved this with white pieces. In this game, some interesting thing happens, like some mistakes happened in time pressure. But anyway, Carlsen achieved his target in 136th move. This is a long game, both players are fighting for their game. After some strong fight, Carlsen achieved this target. Let's go to the game. Carlsen started with the white pieces. He started with the d4. Nepo replayed with the knight f6. Now Carlsen played knight f3. After this move, almost 3 minutes to reply d5. Then g3. Here also Nepo took some time to take decision. What is the opening he has to select? Here also Nepo took some time to select this move. e6. Then bishop g2, bishop e7, castles, b3. Some different kind of opening, trying to play in some natural way. After b3, Nepo replayed c5. Here d takes c5, bishop takes c5, c4. Here Nepo took the pawn on c4, then queen c2. Now black cannot take the pawn because black will lose the bishop on c5. So Nepo played queen e7, defending this bishop, trying to take the pawn on b3. Now Carlsen allowed to take the second pawn, but here Nepo did not take it. He played knight c6. Here Carlsen takes the c4 pawn with knight, then b5. Now knight c e5, knight b4, attacking the queen. Now Carlsen played queen b2, then bishop b7, a3, kicking off the knight from here. Again knight c6. Now knight d3, try to kick off the bishop from c5 square. Then bishop b6. Now bishop g5, pinning the knight on f6. Rook f d8. Here after bishop takes f6, Nepo played g takes f6. But here Nepo could consider queen takes f6. Because of his own queen, he made some strange decisions. If he exchanged the queens here, maybe Nepo could get a draw in this position also. But he keeps the queen on f6. But he keeps the queen on board. G takes f6. Now rook a c1. After knight d4, knight takes d4, bishop takes d4. There is a queen under attack on b2. Here Carlsen played queen a2. After bishop takes g2, king takes g2, queen b7 check. Then king g1. Here Nepo could play rook a c8 to control the c file, but he missed. To play rook a c8, he played queen e4, then again queen c2. After a5, rook f d1, then king g7, rook d2. Here Nepo made a strange decision, exchanging his two rooks for white queen. He played a rook a c8 now. I think this is a strange decision by Nepo, because giving two rooks for queen is most probably not good. Here Carlsen took the rook on c8. After rook takes c8, then rook takes c8. Here Nepo played queen d5. Then b4, a4, e3. If you note, if Carlsen exchanged the queens on f6, now this bishop could play some moves. Then bishop e5, h4. Then h5, king h2. When they reach this position, Carlsen has only 3 minutes, but Nepo has 23 minutes. But after few moves, both players face time pressure. In this position, Nepo played bishop b2, then rook c5. Here queen d6, rook d1. Carlsen made a mistake in time pressure. Here Nepo took the pawn on a3, then rook takes b5, then queen d7. Nepo still keeps the discover attack on the board, but this move has some reasons. Because after rook a5, the queen is defending the a4 pawn, so white has no chance to attack the pawn on a4. Now he played again rook c5. Now here is the chance to take the pawn on b4, but here Nepo missed this. He played e5, then rook c2. Once again Nepo missed to take the pawn on b5. He played queen d5. This is blunder mistake, because after bishop takes b4, white cannot take the bishop because they will lose their rook. But in time pressure, Nepo missed to take the pawn on b4. He played queen d5, then rook d2. Now queen b3, one more mistake. Rook a2, e4, another mistake in time pressure. Now knight c5. After queen takes b4, knight takes b4. Almost white has a very good position. Here Nepo can take the knight, but here again he played queen b3. Now 40 moves are over. Both players are getting extra 1 hour. Now both players went out of the board. After 10 minutes only, Carlsen come back to the board. Here Carlsen played rook ac2, but commentators were saying rook dc2 is better option. But anyway, rook ac2, then bishop f8. Now knight c5, attacking the queen on b3, then queen b5. Then knight d3 again, after a3. Maybe this position seems equal material. This pawn could keep any one piece to spend here, but after a3, Carlsen played knight f4, then queen a5, rook a2, blocking this pawn, then bishop b4, rook d3, king h6, then rook d1, queen a4, again attacking the rook on d1, then rook da1. Trying to capture this pawn, because black has only 2 defenses, white has 3 attacks. Carlsen can bring this knight slowly to attack the pawn on a3. After rook da1, Nepo played bishop d6. Then king g1, queen b3, knight e2, queen d3, and then knight d4. Then king h7, king h2, now queen e4. Here Carlsen made the bold decision to take the pawn on a3. Now after queen takes h4, king g1, again Nepo played queen e4. Then rook a4, bishop e5. After knight e2, Nepo played queen c2. Then rook 1 a2. Then queen to b3, king g2, queen d5. After Nepo lost his a pawn, then here both has 3 pawns. But fighting against 2 rooks with the queen, it is not so easy. So after queen d5 check, Carlsen played f3, then queen d1. Here f4, Carlsen would like to improve his position slowly. After bishop c7, then king f2. Now bishop b6, attacking the pawn on e3. Here Carlsen played rook a1. Then Nepo played queen b3, attacking the pawn on e3. Here Carlsen played rook e4, defending this pawn on e3. Then king g7, after rook e8, f5. Then Carlsen played rook a8, connecting 2 rooks in the same rank. Here definitely 2 rooks are stronger than a queen. Then Nepo played queen b4, rook a c8, bishop a5, now rook c1, defending the e1 square, then bishop b6 again, now rook e5, queen b3, again rook e8, queen d5, then again rook c8, queen h1, then again rook c1, again queen d5. Here rook b1, attacking the bishop on b6. Now Nepo played bishop a7. Now rook e7, again attacking the bishop on a7. Now after bishop c5, rook e5. Now queen d3. Here white cannot take the bishop because their rook on b1 is under attack. So Carlsen played rook b7. Then queen c2. Now rook b5. Again attacking the bishop on c5. Now again bishop a7. After rook a5, bishop b6. Here again rook a b5. Here Nepo played again bishop a7. Here if Carlsen played a rook a5, then it could be a draw. But here Carlsen don't like to get draw. So he took the pawn on f5. Then queen d3. Here Carlsen made a strong decision. He tried to sacrifice the exchange. So he played a rook takes f7. After king takes f7, rook b7 check. After king g6, he took the bishop on a7. Here almost white reached the winning position. Black may be playing with the queen, but this position is unstoppable. Here Nepo played queen d6. After rook a6, king h7, rook a1, king g6, knight d4. After queen b7, rook a2, queen h1. Then again rook a6 check, king f7, knight f3, queen b1. Then rook d6, king g7, rook d5, attacking the pawn on h5. Here queen a2 check. Now Carlsen blocked this check with the rook. Again queen b1, now rook e2. Again queen b6, rook c2. Again queen b1, attacking the rook on c2, now knight d4. Again queen h1. Then rook to c7 check. King f6. Rook c6. King f7. Knight f3. Then queen b1, knight g5 check. King g7. Knight e6 check. King f7, now knight d4 again. After queen h1, rook c7, king f6, knight to f3. Here after queen b1, Carlsen played rook d7. Queen b2 check, rook to d2, then queen b1 again. Now knight g1, queen b4, rook d1. Here queen b3, rook d6 check, king g7, rook d4. Here after queen b2, Nepo tried to play his queen again and again, but here Carlsen made a move e4. Then queen h1, rook d7 check, king g8. Then rook d4, queen h2 check, now king e3. Here h4, now Carlsen took the pawn on h4. Here queen h3, then king d2. Now Nepo took the pawn on h4. Now Carlsen played a rook d3. Then king f8. After rook f8, Nepo played queen d8. After king e3, Nepo played queen a5. Then king f2. Now queen a7 check. Rook e3. Queen to d7. After knight g3, queen d2, Carlsen played king f3. Then queen d1 check, now rook e2, Then queen b3. Here after king g2, Nepo made one more mistake, which is queen b7. Then rook d2, queen b3, rook d5, king e7, rook e5, king f7, then rook f5, king e8. Here e5, queen a2 check, king h2, queen e6, again mistake, then king h4, queen h6, knight to h5. After queen h7, slowly Nepo losing his game. Here Carlsen slowly improved his position step by step. Here e6. Now black cannot take the rook on f5 because there is a knight g7 fork is waiting. So Nepo played queen g6 here. Then rook e7. Once again, here black cannot take the pawn because there is a check. Here again black cannot take the pawn on e6 because there is a fork waiting on knight g7. Here Nepo played king d8. After f5, queen g1. Here Carlsen played knight g7. In this position, Nepo gives handshake to Carlsen. Amazing win with this exchange up. Once again, Carlsen proved his strength. Still 8 more games remaining. We'll see what's going to happen on next games. We'll see you on next game.